Hi guys, so today we are going to be doing Cha-Ching number 47 is what we are on. So I'm just going to jump in where we left off last. I feel like last time I did a Cha-Ching I kind of rushed through a little bit, so I'm going to try and slow down a bit, and I did add more things into this Cha-Ching than I did my last one. So let's get started. The first thing that I have is a string of these kind of tiki looking bamboo lights. I purchased 2 boxes of these at a yard sale. I paid $3 for this box. It had 1 string of these bamboo lights inside, and they looked awesome. You can see in the picture they looked awesome lit up, so they'd be great for like a patio or a camper or that kind of thing. I was just thinking along those lines. Anyway, I paid $3 for that string of bamboo lights at a yard sale, and they sold for $35.99. Next thing I have is a frog planter. This was a really large planter. Eric and I found it at a yard sale. The people who were having the yard sale were moving, and they literally didn't want to take like anything with them, so they were just giving us like really great bargains. So I kind of created a pile of stuff, and I forget exactly what they charged me. I think maybe $6 altogether. I sold other things from that yard sale, so I'd say average I paid about $2 or $3 for this planter, and it sold for $39.99. Definitely a unique one. I had never seen something like that before. I sold a little bottle of Philosophy. This is one of their 3-in-1s. If you guys have never heard of the brand Philosophy, it is like a higher end type of beauty brand. They sell a lot of what they call these 3-in-1s that you can use as shampoo, you can use them as body wash, or you can use them as bubble bath, and they have lots of really awesome scents. So I picked this up probably at a yard sale for, I'd say, $0.25 to 50 cents, and it was in the scent the Muffin Man. That sold for $12.99. So here we come to the second string of bamboo lights. So I did list these up separately, letting people decide whether they wanted if they only needed 1 string, or, you know, if they wanted to buy both strings, then they could. Funny story, these sold like almost back to back, but they went to 2 different people. So it wasn't the same person who purchased them the first time around. But again, paid $3 for that string of lights, and again sold for the same amount of $35.99. So that was great profit off of those 2 boxes of these bamboo lights. Okay, next we have a Wrangler belt. I picked this up at a yard sale. I feel like I got it last year, and I probably paid about $1 for it. That sold for $17.99. This next item was something that belonged to my aunt. This was a vintage Barbie bubbling spa pool. I always wanted one of these when I was younger, but I didn't ever have one. But basically you could fill it up with water for your Barbie, and then when you press this thing on the side, it made like all these bubbles, so it looked like you know, like a hot tub or whatnot. So that sold for $39.99. She even had like the original box and everything, so that was awesome. I do, anytime I sell something for my aunt, we do split the profit off of it. And I think there's something else of hers that's in this Cha-Ching, so we'll get to that. The next thing I have is a LAM by Gwen Stefani. This is like a little zippered coin purse that had a key ring attached. I picked this up at a yard sale not that long ago for $1. It wasn't marked, and when I went to pay, the lady was just like, how about $1? And I was like, yeah, that's fine with me. So Gwen Stefani, she had come out with this line of purses called LAM. It stands for the Love Angel Music Baby. As well as like her Harajuku Lovers line. Those things are getting harder to find, so I do think some of them are holding a little bit more value. So if you ever would come across anything that was by Gwen Stefani from her LAM or the Harajuku lovers, I would definitely consider picking that up. So I paid $1 for that, and it sold for $39.99, which is great considering, you know, it's just a little coin purse. So I can only imagine, you know, what the purses and stuff can sell for. So next I have this little lot of car knobs. So these would have gone on like a dresser or, you know, drawers or something like that. They kind of had like a, you know, look like they would go great in like a kid's room. Eric picked these up. It was a baggie of them. There were some cars and there were sailboats. And I think the sailboats are still listed. I don't think anyone purchased the sailboats, but the cars did sell. I know he didn't pay much for the baggie, maybe $1 for the baggie, and the car knob sold for $11.99. So that was something Eric picked up. Sometimes I don't always say what Eric picks up. It's usually me, but that was an Eric purchase. Next was a really cute sweater I picked up at Goodwill. This was by a company called Storybook Knits, and if you ever come across this brand, like all of their clothing pieces are slightly outlandish, but super fun, very cute, very unique. This one had little monkeys dangling on it. The buttons were bananas. It was just so wild and cute. And I do have another Storybook Knits sweater that's still for sale that has never been purchased yet, but that one's a little more toned down, I'd say. Like, it's leopard print, really pretty animal print. It has like all these like really pretty like beads and stuff on. But this monkey one was just awesome. So got that at Goodwill. I'd say I paid about $6 and some change for it. That sold for $39.99. Next piece I have was this little Chinese mudman. I don't remember exactly where I picked him up. I don't know if it was at I feel like it was at Goodwill. So I'd say I spent 99 cents to $1.99 on him, and he sold for $18.99. This next pair of shoes that I sold, these were by ALDO. They were really like tall wedge heels. I had these for a while. I remember I picked them up, I think it was at like a church rummage type sale. So definitely didn't pay much for them, but they took a very long time to sell. I kind of was thinking that they just weren't gonna go. But they did end up selling for $14.99. Not too bad, but not the best either. Next we have a Victoria's Secret perfume. This was in the scent Rapture. They do not make this Victoria's Secret fragrance anymore. I sold that for $45.99, and that came off of a flat at an auction. I'm pretty sure Eric won the flat for less than $5, and that's like the only thing I wanted off that flat. I do believe I had, you know, other stuff listed that came from that flat, but that was the only thing I really wanted from it, and I'm thankful that it did sell. Alright, next was another Victoria's Secret item. This was a bathing suit top that sold for $12.99. So I had two of these tops. I have this one that was more like a typical bikini style top, and then I have another one that's it looks exactly like it, but it's in a tankini style or tankini. I picked these up at a fill-a-bag rummage sale. So that one sold for $12.99, and the other one hasn't sold quite yet. I sold a jacket. This was by a company called Legendary Whitetails. It was a really nice jacket, fleece lined. It had like that real tree kind of camo style print with this really pretty turquoise piping zip up. Very, very nice. I think I paid about $5 for that at a yard sale, and it sold for $58.99. So that was really awesome. That was a really nice jacket, but it wasn't my size. Here's another Victoria's Secret item. This was a Victoria's Secret in the scent Very Sexy Now. I picked that up at a yard sale for $1, and that sold for $7.99. So you guys see me pick up like Victoria's Secret perfumes and body sprays and stuff like that at yard sales. Not all of them are worth crazy amounts of money. Just saying. So that was one that really wasn't worth much. Next we have a little vintage beaded Easter basket. This was definitely like a handmade type of item. I got this at a thrift shop. I paid $3 for it, and that sold for $19.99. I think I still have 1 or 2 more vintage Easter items that I got at that thrift shop the day that I purchased that one. So they are selling. Next thing was, this was my probably most expensive CHING in this CHING video. You guys remember I picked up this mug at Goodwill, and I don't remember what I paid for it. 99 cents or $1.99. It was a Henry Bendel coffee mug, and I sold that for $99.99. These Henry Bendel mugs, there are collectors out there for them, so definitely something to pick up if you see it. I'm just excited that I got my asking price for it, because you know that's a lot of money for a coffee mug. But I couldn't believe it that I found that at Goodwill for like next to nothing, and it was brand new. It was still in like its little bubble wrap piece, like taped up and everything. It was gorgeous. Next we have a Disney cheetah backpack. This was like a mini backpack basically. I got this at a fill-a-bag rummage sale, and it sold for $25.99. I loved the color combination on that, and I liked the fact that it did have the animal print. It was really cute. Speaking of Disney, my next item was also a Disney item. These were a pair of Disney Crocs. So they were more like a strappy kind of sandal, and they had little Mickey heads on the straps. It's probably hard to see in my picture, but they were really cute. They were my size, and when I bought them, I was thinking I was just going to keep them, and then I decided to sell them. So they sold for $32.99, and got those at Goodwill, so I probably paid about $7.47, because that's what Goodwill typically marks their shoes for. I sold a vintage kids wallet. This was just like an old vinyl wallet. Really cute. It sold for $7.99, and that came from a yard sale, and I'm pretty sure it was like 10 cents. So I didn't really pay much for that at all. Next item was a piece of jewelry. This is just a piece of costume jewelry. It was of a strawberry. Really cute. That sold for $9.99. It's just had been in my jewelry box for like ages, and I just never picked it up anymore, so I decided to list it. This next item came from the same sale where I had purchased that frog planter. This is a Starbucks mug. It was a Hawaii Starbucks mug, really pretty yellow interior with like those tropical frond leaves all over. That sold for $16.99. Next item was a Brighton purse. I picked this up at a fill-a-bag rummage sale, and that sold for $29.99. So this next item is also something that belonged to my aunt. This was a vintage Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles just water bottle that sold for $10.99. These types, like these water bottles that you see, like this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles water bottle, like these are the water bottles I grew up with as a kid. Like that's kind of just like what water bottles look like. They would have this big long kind of accordion type straw in, and then usually there was like a little cap that you could put over the straw when you weren't drinking out of it. And I remember I had a New Kids on the Block one. I'm sure I've had more than New Kids on the Block, but I remember like when I was a little girl, I was in cheerleading and I used to take my water bottle like that to cheerleading practice every day. Water bottles have come such a long way since then. Like now you can get those fancy ones where it keeps your drink cold like for hours on end. As soon as my water melted and being out in the sun and, you know, my drink's all warm, and we had a heck of a time back in the day, did we not? Anyway, next thing was a vintage troll doll. This was just like a really, one of the, you know, the average size troll dolls. She was dressed up like a witch, really cute. I'm pretty sure I got her at a yard sale for like 25 cents and she sold for $14.99. So, just, how do I want to say this? Spoiler alert, I guess. You guys saw one of my cha-chings. I got one of those really large troll dolls and it sold for like, you know, buku money. I had won it at an auction. So I went to an auction last week and I won 2 more of those troll dolls. So I can't wait to show you guys. But yeah, I ended up with 2 more. So that's awesome. The next item was a pair of Jinko jeans. These are also from like my teenage years. These style of jeans were so popular, especially amongst the boys, because they would have like the really wide legs. I know Eric had quite a few pairs. These sold for $49.99. I got them at a yard sale. I think I might have paid $5 for them. And they were even like a younger boy size, not necessarily a men's size. But these vintage wide leg Jinko jeans, like now they can sell for a lot of money. I wish Eric still had all of his so he could sell them. Same with his band t-shirts. My goodness, we could have been making bank off of his old band tees. But anyway, if you ever come across these Jinko jeans, especially if they're more like adult sizes with like the large embroidered kind of patches on the back pockets, they can definitely sell really well. Next was a women's CJ Banks open front blazer. This sold for $17.99 and it came from the Facebook garbage bag full of clothes that I had purchased quite a while back now. I feel like it's been a while. The next item is also something that Eric picked up. This was a box of 4 McDonald's coffee mugs, and what was really awesome about these was they each had kind of like a print on them that would have looked like what McDonald's cups looked like during that decade, essentially. So it was 4 different ones. Picked that up at a yard sale. I think he paid about $4 or $5 for the box and sold them for $44.99. Next, I sold a pair of Old Navy overalls. These were shorts, so more like short hauls. Those sold for $25.99. So bibs, overalls in general, whether they're, you know, full pants or shorts, no matter what brand. I mean, these are just Old Navy and they sold for $25.99. People just really like overalls. So that was an awesome sale. Next was a vintage, this was an Occupied Japan figure. This came from a flat that I won at the auction. It was full of Occupied Japan figures. I ended up listing some separately. This is one of them that I listed separately because it was more like, you know, a specific type thing. It was like a little girl with a Cupid doll. So, you know, anyone who's looking for Occupied Japan figures or Cupid in general definitely could, you know, want to potentially purchase that. So that did sell for $12.99. and I'm pretty sure that went to a subscriber. There might have been some other stuff that I already went through that might have been from subscribers as well. I apologize. Again, I am slightly behind still with my cha-chings, and it sometimes gets really hard for me to remember. I don't have the best memory. I really don't, so I apologize for that. But anyway, the flat that this came off of, I wanted it specifically just for a Limoges trinket box. That's not in this cha-ching, but it should be in the next one. But I did end up selling the other pieces that were in that flat. Same with this next item. I also think went to a subscriber. This came on a flat of other stuff that I won at the auction. But these were these little miniature shoes, and they're like a collector's type thing. They're called Just the Right shoe. So it was a women's, almost like bridal looking shoe, and then a men's golf shoe. Those sold for $12.99. I sold a kind of Buddha looking incense holder. Again, this sold for $12.99. There's like a theme right now going on with my prices here. So that I picked up at a yard sale, and I probably paid maybe 50 cents for it. Same with this next item, was just a vintage pitcher, and that sold for $18.99. I can't remember exactly where I got this. I don't know if it was at a yard sale or a thrift store, but I'm sure I didn't pay much for it. Next item came from the Facebook garbage bag full of clothes. This was a Lane Bryant cardigan that sold for $16.99. And the last thing that I have for this cha-ching was a tropical fish fabric panel that sold for $19.99, and I picked this up at Goodwill, and I probably paid about 99 cents to $1.99 for it, so not much. But that's everything I have for this cha-ching. Last time I think I made a cha-ching, I didn't have much to talk about, but I do have some stuff to talk about for this cha-ching. The first thing that I wanted to talk about was that I normally sometimes talk about a GSP, eBay's global shipping program, where if someone purchased something from another country, you just ship it to an eBay warehouse essentially, and then they go ahead and ship it on to the customer, so you don't have to fill out like customs forms and things like that. And just the other day, I had my first kind of issue with GSP. Before, it was kind of like a, you know, everything always ran smoothly, didn't have any problems for like the longest time, but I did end up, someone purchased something from me and they weren't happy with it. I still don't really understand exactly what was entirely wrong with what they didn't like about it, but regardless, they wanted to return it. So when they opened the case, they opened it as an item not as described. So eBay, how do I want to say this? If say you shipped something GSP and it got to the buyer and it was broken, if something happened within shipping where the item was lost or the item was broken, eBay would step in with that and take care of it because they were the ones who were last handling your package. When it comes to item not as described, it's up to you to deal with that. So if they want to return it, you have to figure out where and how to go about buying a shipping label for your buyer. So that requires you to, you know, figure out obviously what country they're living in and figure out a way to create a shipping label that they can use for the item. So a lot of work, a lot of money. Obviously, it's going to cost a lot to have to pay for a shipping label that's coming internationally, and it kind of, depending on the item, isn't even worth it. So this was a stuffed animal. It wasn't a ton of money. I think I I think altogether I had about 3 books into it from like, you know, I purchased it at a yard sale. So yes, it sucks that I am out the item and the money, but it's just not worth, it's not worth it in this case for me to pay that shipping cost for the shipping label to have them send it back to me. Now, if it were like a really high dollar item, then yes, I would probably, you know, spend more time looking into getting having them get a shipping label to send the item back. But since it's just a plush toy, I only had $3 into it. Sure, I could have got it back and relisted it and gotten, you know, potentially the amount that I had originally sold it for, but I'm just going to cut this as a loss and just refund them and not have them return it to me. But it's just one of those things that I didn't have any issues with GSP until now, and I didn't realize that, you know, if they open up an item not as described, it's up to you as the seller to go about getting them a shipping label. Like, eBay doesn't have anything to do with the item not as described if it's a GSP order. They only deal with the stuff that is broken. So that if any of you have had to deal with something like that, like purchasing a shipping label for an international order like that someone wanted to return, let me know about your experience in the comments and how you went about it, if there's an easy way to do it, and that kind of thing. But as for this one, I am just cutting it as a loss. Next thing I have to talk about is I had something really, really weird happen. So I got back a package that I shipped, and on the box it obviously had a return to sender sticker, and it said as a reason, no mail receptacle. So my mind was blown. Like, how can you not have a mail receptacle? Like, that doesn't make sense. Eric actually called the post office to this person's town, to their local post office, talked to someone, asked like why this package was shipped back to me, why it says that there's no, like, this person at this address doesn't have a mail receptacle. And they said the person doesn't have a mail receptacle. Like, how is that possible? How is that humanly possible? Like, my mind is still blown. Like, how do you get bills? How do you get any type of mail if you don't have a mail receptacle? Like, I don't understand how that even happens. So I get this package back. Obviously the person never got their package type of thing. So, you know, they did open up a case, obviously, because, you know, they never got their item. So I did refund them. I don't really feel like, you know, I could have asked them for, you know, the shipping and then shipped it back out, but, you know, it kind of like bugs me a little bit, in all honesty. Like, I shouldn't have to do that. Like, you should have a mail receptacle. If you're purchasing stuff online, you should have a place for your mail and your packages that you're getting and that kind of thing. So anyway, I refunded them and I relisted the item. But yeah, it's kind of a pain, I guess, really, is how I want to describe that. Like, I don't know. Like, it's my job to ship the item. Once it's out of my hands, like, it's kind of the post office problem. Like, there's no reason the post office didn't try to get a hold of this person in some way, shape, or form, whether that was to leave a note on their door, take the package back to the post office, and have them pick it up there. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. Like, I should have never received that package back. In my mind, that should have never happened kind of thing. So I don't know, it's kind of crazy, but it's just something that happened, and this is where I like to tell you guys about any kind of stories or issues that I'm having with eBay, and that happened recently. So the last thing that I have written down here, but it doesn't really have anything to do with eBay, so I don't want to spend like a ton of time talking about it, but I did mention in another video that I started selling on Facebook Marketplace, and I don't mean like local pickup type of Facebook Marketplace sales, because I've been kind of doing that off and on for a while. Eric does it more than I do, but I started doing the shipping, like shipping only kind of Facebook Marketplace sales, and so far everything is going really good, really smoothly. Basically I am only selling stuff on Facebook Marketplace that is like more of my cheaper items, I guess you'd say. No like real high dollar items, just because I'm still a little hesitant, a little lenient about putting up really pricey stuff there, because I'm worried about having any kind of issues through Facebook Marketplace. I know Facebook doesn't have the best customer service, and I'm sure their marketplace customer service is probably like non-existent. So it's mainly just cheap stuff that I'm putting on there, like basically things that I would have put out if I were having a yard sale. So like if I were having a yard sale, I'd be putting like 50 cents to $1 or a quarter on the stuff, but I'm posting it up just, you know, maybe $4 or $5 and selling it on Marketplace, and it's selling, the stuff's going out of my house. And you know, that money does add up over time. So I had quite a few sales on there so far. I haven't been listing much here lately, but I haven't had any issues. I have had one issue so far, and it was my mistake. I did refund someone on an item because there was an issue with it that I didn't realize before I shipped it. So I did just refund their money. I didn't even, you know, ask for a return or anything like that. I just let them keep the item, and I refunded them their money. So that's like the only thing that, you know, of an issue that has come up with Facebook Marketplace, and that was my mistake. So far I am liking it. So you guys have to let me know if you have been selling at all on Facebook Marketplace, if you've tried it yet, if you do shipping, or if you just do, you know, your local pickups and stuff like that. And also just how eBay is going for you. I'd say right now eBay's going okay as far as sales and stuff go. Some days obviously are a little better than others, but I do feel like each time I've been going to the post office, I've been having quite a number of items. I mean, I'm at least filling one IKEA bag each time I go to the post office, so that's not too bad. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this cha-ching. You'll have to let me know what you thought down in the comments. And then I know the last video you saw was an estate auction that Eric and I went to, so you'll see the haul of that stuff after this cha-ching. And I'll give you a little sneak peek because I have something sitting in front of me, but I did win all of the Franciscan. I know I had someone comment saying that they wish I would have picked it up, but it's an auction, so I can't just like go and buy the stuff. I wish that were possible at an auction, but obviously you have to bid and bid against other people for the items. But I did win all of the Franciscan. I paid a good bit for it all, but it's definitely worth a lot as well. So have to keep an eye out for that. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time.